Masquera say Zimbabwe, welcome to our channels in confessions and deep secrets. Kanagariki kutanka kukuya panini channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Kana uchingwa gara subscribe, but don't forget to comment and share this video. Nasi Zimbabwe takuigirai nyaya yakaitika nezuro ku Zambia ku Lusaka yapo Zimbabweans ai protester nenyaya ye no to ED's Sadak chairmanship muri Zimbabwe. And a lot of people are chicha kaitika ndofunga takura je video re vanhu vaienda kunoenda over a petition kuna akainde Hichilema Zimbabweans ane petition yakaenda over kuna akainde Hichilema muri Zimbabwe vachitaura ivo vachiti they don't want Emerson Mnangagwa kuti awane kwachiassume the Sadak chairmanship. So Change Radio yakabuditsa nyaya iyi along with the petition yakasendwa nema Zimbabweans kuna akainde Hichilema muri Zimbabwe. So vakasubmita this petition through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs yeku Zambia muri Zimbabwe. Also this petition nganyoro iyo yakanzi aware that Zimbabwe is a member state of the Sadak of the Southern African Development Community, having acceded to and ratified the Sadak Treaty of 1992. Shukanzi, cognizant of the main objectives of the Southern African Development Community as stated in Article 5 of the Sadak Treaty in 1992, which are mainly to oversee peace and security, democracy, achieve development and economic growth, alleviate poverty, enhance the standard and quality of life of the people of Southern Africa, and support the socially disadvantaged through regional integration. Concerned at the growing human rights abuses, at the shrinkage of the democratic space, characterized by the criminalization of opposition activities and the arrest and detention of opposition leaders by the Emerson Mnangagwa-led government in Zimbabwe. Acknowledging the adverse report adopted on the 31st of August 2023 by the Southern African Development Commission Election Observer Mission on the August 23 Zimbabwean elections, pursuant to its mandate per the provisions of the Southern African Development Principles and guidelines governing the democratic elections. Alarmed by the continued cooperation by Sadak member states with the Emerson Mnangagwa presidents and the inaction to address the government legitimacy question arising from a disputed and rigged electoral process in Zimbabwe. So the desirous of the resolution of the perennial electoral and political dispute in Zimbabwe through sincere electoral reforms born out of an all-inclusive national dialogue, the restoration of fundamental civic and political liberties, and the unconditional release of all political prisoners. And now, therefore, the petitioners beseech Sadak, as represented by the chairman, His Excellency João Lourenço, the chairman of the Sadak organ on political defense and security cooperation, H.E. Akainde Hichilema, the executive secretary H.E. Elias Magosi, and member states as represented by the 15 heads of states and the foreign affairs ministers to consider the petition and pass resolutions aimed at enhancing democratic tenets in Zimbabwe, the resolution of the political impasse in the country, and the freedom of all political prisoners incarcerated by the government in Harare. In the background, the present dispensation of the regime in Harare is born out of two events that are uncharacteristic of the guiding principles of the Sadak Treaty and the Zimbabwean Constitution. Firstly, a military coup that removed President Robert Gabriel Mugabe from office in 2017. And secondly, a rigged electoral process as witnessed in 2018 and 2023 under the leadership of Emerson Mnangagwa. Post the stated events, there has been a wanton disregard for citizens' political rights and freedoms in Zimbabwe. This has been characterized by the politicization of the military, the militarization of state institutions and the use of repressive state apparatus, police and intelligence services to silence opposition and civic society in the country. And the Zimbabwean government's illegitimacy was given a new lease of life through a shambolic election in August 2023, in which there was rife intimidation, voter suppression, banning of opposition rallies, unfair state media coverage, manipulation of election results, and arrests of opposition campaigners and leaders. The evidence contained in the Sadak Election Observer Mission report submitted by the Southern African Development Community by chairperson of the Sadak organ in politics, defense, and security cooperation is instructive on the character of Zimbabwean election of 2023. In order to silence dissent and resistance, the regime in Harare has employed unconstitutional tactics to thwart democratic and constitutional resistance to its legitimacy. This has been achieved through abductions, torture, illegal arrests, and the banning of opposition political activists. Further, the regime in Harare has engineered and caused several recalls from Parliament of democratically elected opposition members of Parliament. With the above background, your petitioners now seek that the Southern African Development Community, through its member states, the organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation, and its secretariat, take into account and consider the following issues for the restoration of the rule of law, legitimacy, and credible electoral processes in Zimbabwe. 1. Follow through on the Sadak Election Observer Mission's report on Zimbabwe 2023 elections as adopted by Sadak at the last extraordinary summit in Angola by facilitating an all-inclusive political dialogue with the objective of resolving the disputed 2023 election in Zimbabwe. And 2. Facilitating dialogue on legal and electoral reform in Zimbabwe by the main political players and stakeholders, and paving the way for a free, fair, and credible election in Zimbabwe. And 3. Appointing a council of elders to mediate between the two majority candidates in the 2023 presidential election, that is Advocate Nelson Chamisa and President Emmerson Mnangagwa, to solve the political impasse in the country. Ensure this process is implemented. 4. Imploring the Emmerson Mnangagwa-led government to uphold the citizens' right to political participation, freedom of association and assembly, and the right to demonstrate and petition government, among other fundamental human rights enshrined in Chapter 4 of the Zimbabwean Constitution. And imploring the Emmerson Mnangagwa-led government to release all political prisoners, which include opposition leader Honorable Jameson Timber and the 77 activists arrested on the 6th of June at a private residence in Zimbabwe. Postponement of the Zimbabwe's Emmerson Mnangagwa's term to rational Sadak chairmanship, pending a resolution on the question of his legitimacy to govern. Putting Zimbabwe at the top of the summit agenda to address Zimbabwe's political crisis. Wherefore, petitioners' plea and pray is as follows: that Sadak and all member states receive and pronounce at the summit and beyond the Zimbabwe's 2023 general elections did not adhere to Sadak principles and guidelines governing democratic elections of 2021. 2. That Sadak resolves the mediation efforts must be taken in Zimbabwe with a view of resolving political conflict, averting civil unrest, and alleviating economic collapse, and improving the livelihoods of masses of Zimbabwe. 3. That Sadak resolves to mandate the organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation to facilitate dialogue between Emmerson Mnangagwa and Nelson Chamisa, the major political players from the 2023 election. The church, the civic society, and other political players for the development of a roadmap towards electoral reforms and free, fair, and credible elections in Zimbabwe. And that Sadak places a demand on the Zimbabwean government for the unconditional release of Jameson Timber and all 77 political activists arrested on June 17, 2024. And the petitioners, as duty-bound and in spirit of patriotism, we ever pray. Ndo zvakabuda. Ndo petition irikunzi yakaendwa over. Kuna Hakainde Hichilema Zimbabwe tisingaziye kuti what is going to be his response. Ndofunga the Sadak summit yasara nema weeks mashomanana iri kuitwa musi 17 August Zimbabwe tisingaziye kuti munona sei nyaya itudzo zvamuri kufunga pamusoro penyaya iyi mu comment section.